All right, welcome back, everybody, to Golden Dice. This is episode 24. You have your rightful, true, and one and only host back after whatever happened last week. Shane was trying to run a mutiny, and then he was quiet the whole episode, but it happened. And now we're here, and with me I have my true co-host, and Tommy.
What's up, Jack? Yeah, I did declare myself the usurper host, so technically I had something to do with that. But yeah, Shane was quiet because he doesn't go to tournaments, so...
Yeah, you guys started talking like actual tournaments, and he's just like, "What? Fortnite?" But importantly, with us, we should have a good episode for you guys this week. We have a guest from the Hyperloops. BobbySapphire is here, fresh off his GenCon, and the loop's doing well over there.
Hey, what's up, boys?
What's up? Doing well would be an understatement. I'm just going to continue to, dote over him. He's just so impressive. The whole team, just unbelievable.
Yeah, we had a good event. It felt good to put in that much work and come out of it, feeling accomplished. It's always important.
So what ended up being like how many Hyperloopers made it to day 2?
So I guess like what people don't know, and I've been thinking about making a page on the website. I just don't know if like people care like who the tournament team is. But Joe, Nick, and myself, the 3 people who actually create the content for the Hyperloops, like we all made day 2. And then we have 3 other guys on the tournament team, 4 other guys on the tournament team, which is basically just like a private channel in our Discord that is just like a few guys that we playtest. We try and playtest more often together going into big tournaments. And so it's Andrew Cox, Reflex, who we met last year at GenCon, and we've both basically been best friends ever since. So he's been on the team. Blake Moody, who was the Australian national champion, he's been on the team. And then after Worlds, we added Outrun, who's Adam Ramsey from the Indy area, and then also Big Brendan Devitt, who made top 8 at Worlds. So that's the squad, the 6 of us, and 5 of us made day 2. Brendan, Biggie is the only one who didn't.
So I know Joe and Nick ran their own thing. Like I know Joe did Drive-By, and Nick did Aphra, Snoke, Battle Droid. But was the rest of you all on that 3-wide mill?
Yeah, we were all on the same list, and I think we were all on the same 34 cards. I'm pretty sure that we were all on the same cards.
Gotcha.
I know me, Adam, and Andrew definitely had the same list, and I'm not 100% sure if Biggie was 1 card off. There was another guy who stayed with us who like we've worked with extensively over the past year. He's actually started as our like the only guy that ever did our $100 coaching tier, which was 4 sessions a month. He made day 2 as well. He was 7-0 going into the last round. He played 1 card different. He was like obsessed with Garbage Chute. He wanted 2 of those in there. So like we really had a bunch of we had 5 guys on the list, 4 of whom made day 2.
That's awesome. And I guess...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to almost like jump right, because this whole episode is what we'll talk about is like, how do you prep for, a tournament and teams going into that? And I guess since we already started talking about lists and your teams, like, I was just curious, like, what is the background that you get, like, 3 people to decide, 3 or 4 people or even more decide on, essentially the same 30 card deck and, character pairing in Battlefield. Because I remember like going into Worlds.
Like come to that consensus of like, how do we get there? Okay. No, go ahead. So going into Worlds, what were you, because are you talking about Sabine?
Yeah, well, going into Worlds, Tommy and Joe were trying to steer me wrong, telling me to bring Target 7 Sister for 10 years. But, and, just even thinking sometimes how groups go, there's always going to be disagreements and, valuing certain cards over one of another. So to me, it was just crazy the fact that you guys like had that exact list. And is that something, did all of you test with different stuff and came back reported results, or did all of you just go with the same list from the get-go and just kind of figure it out from there? Or?
Yeah, no, so we didn't. We definitely were settling on the last couple cards, even the night before, and probably some argument the next morning. I guess like after Worlds, the new set comes out. We're testing. Cassian's insane. Mill's insane. We want to play Mill. Like Joe was really busy. He was working all the time, and there was nothing going to take him off DBS. Joe has like one mode, and that is, we like the Joe style of play, which is 3 characters, slow, take all your actions, wait for the opponent to take all their actions, run them out of cards, and then focus all your dice to damage. That's like how Joe plays every format. That's how he plays. When like Cuenca's the mad scientist, like he's always going to build something on his own. He doesn't want to like work with the team. But like for me, all I've ever wanted was a team that'll work together. So we all liked Mill. I wasn't winning with anything unless it was Mill. We tried the Yoda Leia, we tried the Yoda Cassian. They were good, but they had inconsistencies. Like they were losing to damage decks, they were losing to Kylo. I saw on Facebook the 3-wide with Cassian and Anakin, Cassian being single die, and I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Let me start working on this. And then Biggie and Outrun and that guy Shane, like they were all working on that. Andrew was pretty set on Yoda Leia. And really just it turned into everyone testing Mill on their own, everyone coming to the consensus that it was beating everything and we were winning, with very little against it. And at that point, it just turned into, okay, everyone test their own versions. And like, I basically hit up everyone over the course of the week, the 10 days leading up to the event. Like, what's the card you ride for? Like what card needs to be in here in your opinion? And really trusting the team to like fight for a card each. I sort of put together a list, like based on my testing and based on their feedback. And I was like, this is the list. This is the list I'm doing. It's based on everyone's feedback, and like you guys can get on board or, make the changes as you see fit. And everyone liked the list. It just clicked. We really just hammered it out together. It was awesome.
That's so cool that you guys are all so tight and on the same page that you can each kind of go your own direction and then come back with data and information, and you trust these guys and they trust you to really consume that and be able to pile that all together and come up with one uniform list that you guys truly believe to be the best in the format. And quite frankly, I think you guys, if anything, you proved it. But what I love about Destiny is that it seems so far in its history, with the exception of maybe Spirit of Rebellion, that a deck emerges and then the meta will adapt, and it feels good because people will make adjustments and can seem to combat that. So, but my next question would be, how important is it that when you do all your testing and then you go into an event, and how important, and I think you've done this well in the past, specifically with like your Rey Ayla and the Sabine events. I know when you won that store championship with Rey Ayla, you took down, I feel like that was a good meta call against the Boba 7th that was everywhere. But how important is it to predict the meta and to get that right and accurate?
Yeah, I think most of the time it's huge. I think I would owe pretty much all of my success in Destiny, whatever it is to being a good at predicting that meta. Like you said, the regional where I took Rey Ayla, it was interesting because it was just like it was me processing the meta for weeks and basically just seeing how things are shaking out. And say, like writing an article about how I wanted to play a middle style, like 2 solid characters. And then I want to be able to play certain cards like Force Misdirection and Close Quarters Assault, and just put that all together. Because those are the things that I was feeling in the meta. For this event, I felt like there was going to be a lot of vehicles, which made Mill good. And then like, can we get it to be aggro? When the Mill started beating Cad Snoke, like routinely, no problem, that's when I was like, oh, this list is tight. Like this is the meta call to end all meta calls. Like I don't think anything, like the fact that I lost to a damage deck in the Swiss rounds, I was shocked because I thought it would only lose to 2-wide Mill. And then even like Outrun beat 2-wide Mills in the Swiss rounds, which is like insane to me. But the kid's a master in the mirror match.
That's awesome. I mean, you must have. How often? So you identified 2-wide Mill as the deck that maybe you guys feared the most,
right?
So my question would be, how many games did you guys prep against the matches that you thought were your weakest, as opposed to like maybe the decks that you weren't so worried about, like let's say vehicle decks? I know you said you tested against Joe's DBS a few times, but maybe like just some other random vehicle decks.
Yeah, so I have like a process. It's like a ridiculous process. Like I play my deck, I get some games with it, I feel good about it, and then I call up Joe and I'm like, all right, Joe, now it's time to play you. And if I can beat Joe, or if I can hang with Joe, that's when I know the deck is real. But like embarrassingly, I played so many games leading up to GenCon, I don't think I could quantify them. Like every time I had a free moment, I was playing. Like I'm not, I'm a high school teacher, so I had the summer off. So I didn't do and I didn't work this summer. Like basically the Hyperloops became my second job. And man, I was just grinding, uploading matches. I think most of it was against like Kylo decks on their battlefield, Kylo decks on our battlefield. And then, the CAD Snokes, the vehicles definitely far less, but like certainly Thrawn Snoke, which is sort of like a different animal of vehicle when they're pillaging your hand. So it was really just identifying certain matchups. Like we didn't have a matchup grid like we probably should have, like we did for Worlds, where we had this like Excel spreadsheet where I was entering data every time I played. It was more like, all right, what matches have you guys tested? What matches have I tested? Like let's make sure we're just covering all the matches, and really doing that. And we all took our crack at the 2-wide mill and really struggled to figure out a way to win.
Yes, that answered my next question, which was actually it was kind of off the cuff, but I was going to ask, how much do you guys record data typically? And I feel like just by listening to you talk, I think you knew you guys were really on to something with the 3-wide mill, so it almost became like unimportant to record data because like you knew you were going to play it and you could almost just go on feel because it felt so much more powerful.
Well, there was a time when I doubted because I even wrote about this and I tweeted about it. Like I was super afraid of the clock, like super, super afraid. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying, there was, for the 2 weeks before we settled on mill, I was trying everything. I was trying like John Magnuson's 5-dice villain. I was trying Thrawn Snoke. I was on Snoke Bazine First Order Stormtrooper. I was everywhere trying to figure out like if there's a deck that can beat everything and beat mill. And in the end, I was down to like CAD Snoke or the 3-wide mill, and I just couldn't beat anything with CAD Snoke in the end. Like it was just dying horrible deaths. And at that point, I was like, well, I just have to play mill. But in terms of like straight data recording, yeah, we don't do it. Like I'm a feel guy. I'd rather just feel it and like talk to my team, make sure that I'm like listening to what they're saying and trusting what they're saying. And while it was interesting to have the spreadsheet and really like look at wins and losses of certain decks going into Worlds, that data correlation thing is just not my jam. I'd rather just my friend tell me, yeah, that's a good matchup. Here's what you do. And I trust that.
Yeah, there's so much of a good matchup. You could say on paper all you want, but if you don't know the matchup and understand the nuances, then you're going to have a really hard time.
Right.
Overcoming.
I think I recorded about 3 or 4 games going into Worlds and then completely forgot about it and never went back to it. So I'm awful at recording for the simple fact I forget to record.
I also have the benefit of like every game I play on TTS, I record and I put it up there for like our Patreon subscribers, which means like I can go back and look at any game. I can like run through the list of all my uploads and be like, oh yeah, that game. Oh yeah, that game. So I kind of have that benefit of always recording every game I play. And I'm sure a lot of people don't do that. And I'm sure no one wants to like sit there and rewatch every game that they play. But it doesn't hurt to have OBS recording in the background and just, maybe there was something you want to go over. Maybe you don't remember that situation exactly the way it happened. You want to make sure you do the right thing next time. So I definitely recommend at least recording the games, labeling them, and keeping them in a folder. Even if you never look at them, I think it helps.
So
I can vouch for that as well.
Just like a football team, we're going to have a film day every week, Jack. Bring ice cream.
Dude, I want you guys to get the projector at the store, like that store that you guys sometimes like record from. And I want you to put it up on the store projector. I want Shane making popcorn, and I want you guys breaking down tape, the beef stick.
Yeah, Shane doesn't need to break it down because he's not going to ever play. So he can make popcorn.
He's going to be like Fortnite on his phone in one hand, popcorn, spinning the popcorn in the other hand, the old school popcorn maker.
It's like you know him.
Dude, my exchange student that like we hosted a couple years ago is like visiting from China on her way back to school, and all she does is play Fortnite. She's on the Chinese Fortnite that like they don't have to build structure. She's obsessed with it. It's all I've heard all week is the gunfire from Fortnite. Like living with.
Dude, I was literally just sitting on my computer one day and I see Shane tagged in a post. It was like, "Hey, we're streaming Fortnite," and I go in, it's just like Shane playing Fortnite streaming. It's like, when were you going to tell me this, dude? You'll put more time into streaming Fortnite than you will Destiny? Like, what is this?
It's messed up.
What is this? But just mess with them, of course.
I let him down as a big brother.
Yeah, it's really kind of your fault, honestly. Cool. So that's really interesting in terms of results and how you're recording and what you're feeling out. I'm probably again on the same page as kind of feeling it a little bit more, and just talking with teammates and kind of trusting what Tommy and Scott have been saying, Shane as well. And for me, I think the last store championship that worked out for, because like I feel like store championship is like my worst season, but it's the most fun for me because I just don't really run strong or powerful decks. or get enough practice with them to actually make it strong. Like I showed up with Finn Maz, which is like a fun deck, but 19 health, you're really not going to make it through too much of the aggro matchups. They're just going to swing out and kill you real quick. But for this last Store Championship, it was funny. Tommy was actually on to the same pairing that Nick had, which is the Snoke Aphra Battle Droid, like I said, and I took that to one in Brick, New Jersey, and ended up finishing second behind the Yoda Cassian aggro. And I actually feel like I had a better matchup, but we did a one of because we were ready to go home because it was like an hour and a half drive type thing. But yeah, it was just great just having Tommy already have like a good list. I was like, all right, Tommy, I trust you. What's your 30? All right, I'm taking this list, and we'll kind of see how the dice roll. And yeah, it worked out, and actually, ended up being my best Store Championship finish because of Tommy made me a deck, dude. I'm not a deck maker, man.
I got a lot more credit than I deserved on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to the last episode where Tommy was talking about it, and I really am curious now if Nick thought about Pod Racer, because it was never in his list. But it sounds like it would have been good. Yeah. No, I know you guys are all over it, and I think it probably would have been good in Nick's list. I really don't know if he considered it. Like, I worked with him a little bit on it, but when we were there, he never brought up the Pod Racer. But yeah, that list seems sweet. I mean, I loved it. You just have to like know it in and out to win it. When like how hard you can suicide yourself, and there would have been just too little time for me to run it going into GenCon. But I mean, that's like how good Cuenca is. Probably doesn't get enough credit for being as good as he is, which is just like he's really good at figuring out those weird decks and how to play them and how to set up wins. And that's one of his great strengths. So that deck played right into that.
Yeah, it's almost what now I'm kind of feeling for Nova at this point. Are you going to be at Nova as well?
No, Nova. So I'll never go to Nova because it's the first week of school, which I can't. Like Nova, like Destiny's on. Like last year, Destiny was on Wednesday, and this year it's Thursday, Friday. I can't like miss the first week of school. It'd be messed up for a teacher to be like, "No, I'm not meeting my kids. I'm taking the first 2 days off." And then I'm also having I'm also having a baby that week, so it was like double no go this year.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thanks. Daughter number 2.
Nice.
All right, so that's a lot of the cool pre-game or pre-tournament rituals for you, and kind of just that thought process going into it. Is there anything like once you get to the tournament, and maybe the night or the day before, once you're kind of in? Where's GenCon exactly? I don't remember the city.
Indianapolis.
I've never been, so that's why I have no idea. But like once you get into Indianapolis, is there anything that you are kind of looking? You're like, all right, I got to do this and this before the tournament tomorrow, or anything like that?
I think normally I would, except this year the tournament was on Thursday, and so we like fly in Wednesday night. We land at 6. We're out of the house by 7, and it's like, like we have to eat dinner, and then what are we gonna do? Just like run through the deck. I think I got like a couple games against Cuenca, but like with non-mill stuff, I was just like helping other people test because our list was pretty much straight. I think normally like there's a lead in and you get there early, and then you have a couple days to like warm up. That I would get games, but I guess like Worlds was very similar, right? Like I played day 1A, so I was like ready to go the next morning. So nothing really, like the only thing that I really, really care about is that I play one game before the tournament. I don't care what deck I play. I don't care if like who it's against, if it's against like the worst player in the world or someone who doesn't even know how to play. I love getting to the event the morning of and just going through a game, just thinking, getting my brain going, and like going through the motions of shuffling a deck, doing my tokens. Because like how often, like even in the finals match, right, everyone's like all over the hullabaloo about the 2 extra resources, but like how many times in a game have you just like not taken the right shields or forgotten your shields or just messed up with the token placement? I like to get that part of my brain going and just start going through the motion. So I insist on playing one game before any event I play in.
I think that's a great practice. I mean, you see the same. I've done the same thing for years, just with athletics and different things. You always want to get your first sweat out. Just get a little lubed up and just feel good about the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I was a big fan of lube.
When I was swimming in high school and college, like you didn't just like jump in the pool and during your race, you had like an elaborate warm up period. So maybe that's where that comes from. No,
but it gets your mind right. It really does. It definitely does.
I mean, golfers are playing golf like all week, 3 times a day before a tournament. every like baseball game they have batting practice. Like, yeah, it makes sense to go play a game just to go through the motions, get the muscles going, get the brain muscles going.
Now, did you for the house that you stayed at, do you have like your whole crew try to stay in there? Do you try to swing that, or is it just usually you, Joe, and Nick? Or
It's just whatever. Like we've been doing the Airbnb thing and liking it. Like this time, that guy I mentioned, Shane, he stayed with me, Joe, and Nick. Biggie stayed with some friends. Outruns from Indy, so he just stayed at home. And Andrew hung out with his Florida guy. So it's not really about like getting the whole group there, but you know, me, Joe, Nick, we always stay together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we travel together, you know, so like we're always on the same flights and just basically just running it together, and it helps because you know you're just there talking to good people. You know, Destiny's always part of the conversation, basically just keeping your mind focused and on task.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you all live near each other, so it makes the obviously the flight makes sense, and to all meet. You know, you can Uber together from the airport and split that, or taxi, or whatever it is, or it makes life easier when you're traveling with a group of people that you enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you have to try and enjoy these things, right? You have to like go on these trips to try and enjoy them, and hopefully you're hanging out and like making friends with people that you actually want to hang out with, or
Yeah.
else it'd probably be pretty boring. Even me, who like basically only does this for the competition, like I still only want to hang out with people that I like, you know. Try and enjoy. You know, Joe and Nick, they're tough to stomach, but I make do.
That's all right. We got Shane.
Um,
Yeah, I win.
Went by like 1,000 miles, just so far ahead.
Sorry, but I've been waiting for like 9 months to get invited on this podcast so I can join in the Shane shit talk.
Oh,
I'm going all out.
Especially with Shane.
If we're ever in the middle of something, you just have a completely irrelevant comment about Shane, just stop us and then just say it, and then we'll get back to it. But all right, cool. So that's pre-tournament stuff. So the day of, is there anything as well that, like, I mean, you kind of mentioned that you like to play a game beforehand, and I know that you personally like to listen to music as well as kind of a warm up. And
Yeah,
but if
I
you listen to the Twitch chat, you're kind of a jerk for that. But
yeah, just the best thing to do is just stay away from Twitch chat, or they'll call they'll call your Bose headsets fake beats. Like that's the kind of things that happen on Twitch. Yeah, I didn't do the music thing. I guess like I don't know. I did the music thing at Worlds. I was super focused for Worlds. I was probably the most focused I've ever been for a card tournament. I didn't let any distractions enter my mind for like months leading up to the event. For Gen Con, I was a little more laid back. I tried to do the music thing like on walks to the bathroom, but my service was so bad, and I only had a couple albums downloaded, so I kind of just didn't whip out the headphones. I saw a bunch of people doing it, like Andrew did it, and a couple other like Hyperloops subscribers did. I think it's really solid. Like it really resets your mind before every game. I just was like, things were going so well. I just was kind of like living in the moment and enjoying it and talking to people. I didn't really worry about my focus too much at Gen Con for whatever reason. But I do think the headphones and like listening to the same song over and over is like such a sick way to get your mind like focused and exactly where you want it to be before every game.
awesome. And now you had mentioned one of the biggest issues about playing mill was your nervousness of getting like timed out or going to time and losing on that tiebreaker. Was that like running through your mind through any of those games, or did you just not worry about it until like it came down, or were you always checking the clock? Did that affect you at all, or is it just out of your mind?
Oh, I was petrified. There was no clock in the venue. You couldn't see the clock from the play area. It was in the registration area, which was like behind and not facing the tournament area. So what I did was I put a 20-minute timer on my phone and threw my phone in my pocket. And I was like, all right, well, when that timer goes off at 20 minutes, then I will know that I have 15 minutes left and I need to hurry the F up. But I also played lightning fast, like the fastest I've ever played Destiny. I was essentially playing speed Destiny. I said to myself, the deck is so good. I'm going to play so fast. I'm going to make mistakes, but the deck is so good that it'll help mitigate how bad I'm screwing it up. And not a single one of my games lasted until that timer went off. My timer did not go off in the first, none of my games lasted 20 minutes is what I mean to say.
Yeah, the mill deck, specifically both the Cassian Yoda deck and the 3-wide mill deck, it's almost feels like an aggro mill this this set because yeah, you're mitigating a lot of dice, but man, you get your turn done. You've milled a substantial amount of cards for your turn, like really quick. And that Anakin's Pod Racer is insane.
Yeah, it's gross. It's so, but yeah, I mean, it just did all the work for me. Like I definitely could have taken my time. I mean, like I said, I had 15 minutes to spare every single round. But you know, it was such an unknown quantity going in. Mill had never done well in an event, like in a big event. Um, you know, with time on the line where people are going to be playing slow. Even like one or two of my opponents, you know, they were being a little methodical. You know, they weren't slow playing by any means, but they were definitely taking their time, and still my games didn't last 20 minutes. So it's just a testament to how fast that deck hits between Yoda Cassian and the Pod Racer that the games just rip, man. And even if it's not the Pod Racer, it's Force Meditation. They just find ways to get through the deck. Clandestine Operation was like super good at accelerating the game. That was actually the last addition we made to the list because of the clock. We were like, let's just play 2 Clandestine. That way, at the very least, we have 2 cheap spells, or, you know, events in our hand that will help expedite the game in a pinch.
Yeah, I had a chance to test against the Aphra list because a buddy of mine, Brian, was interested in testing it out. I was like, all right, let's just start off with the hardest matchup. We'll throw together that 3-wide mill and use the list that you guys ran, and it was just like the game was ending just so quickly how I was able to mill him. And I even feel like Aphra's kind of decent-ish against mill because she's able to just get those cards and cycle through what she needs a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like still certain things were just crazy, and that whoever added Flames of the Past to your deck is all credit to them, man.
Yeah,
that card is brutal at times.
I wish I knew who did that originally, because I think originally I was like, okay, this is like all right. And then we started going over all the applications, like, you know, you can discard a Hailfire droid tank, or you can discard the Ancient Lightsaber, or you can discard, like, I discarded so many chance cubes that like people were trying to bounce on me at the tournament. It was really, really sick. And like, I think you could even consider it a 2 of, and it lost me my semifinal match. The bottom card of Outruns deck was Flames. And even though I had claimed and I had the tempo, like I thought I had the win, I activated my Anakin's Pod Racer and he flamesed it. And he had one too many cards in his hand for me to, like, I had a YOLO one shot to roll a discard side, missed, and that was it. I lost because of the Flames. It's just so good. I think what really broke it open though was Beguile. Have you guys messed around with Beguile yet?
Yeah. Beguile is insane.
So I did a coaching session with this guy Cliff Smith. He goes by Big Bastard backwards. It's like Gibdra Stab or whatever on Discord and TTS. And so I did a coaching session, and I'm working on his deck list like I usually do. I usually do deck list evaluation at the beginning of the session, and he had Beguiles and no Mind Tricks because of the spot requirement. And I was like, oh man, that's really good. That's really, really good. And I gave it to Outrun. I mean, I gave it to Reflex right before his store championship. I was like, yo, like, just take out the Mind Tricks and put in Beguiles. And he won, and he said the Beguiles were insane. And then we just started testing Beguile, and it really just opened up the whole deck. Even the 2-wide versions, which, like, you know, you worry about losing, like, a lot of the cards in the 2-wide are like have heavy spot requirements, a lot of spot blue, a lot of spot yellow, a lot of spot red, and having that card always live, no matter who's alive and who's dead, was really what put that deck, like, cemented it as the deck we were going to run at GenCon.
Yeah, I mean, there was no issues with spot requirements for you guys because you had, like, I mean, you had obviously yellow mitigation, you know, and second chances, but you had 2 yellow characters. And
exactly.
The only blue was overconfidence. So I mean, and even if you lose that, that's not like too big of a deal. But if
it was a
Mind Trick and you lose that, like, that's brutal. So having something like Beguile where there's no spot and essentially just as effective, it's crazy good.
Yeah, the overconfidence was weird. Like, we had flank in that spot, but we found like we had to be aggressive about our rolls to get him in the pool, and like we want to be discarding people's hands before they use them. So we never, like, against 3-wide lists, we never actually had a chance to flank. And then overconfidence is really good against opposing Yodas, where like the shield and the disrupt side are pretty weak against us. They're like not excellent. So yeah, overconfidence became an easy call, and yeah, whatever, like, it's just one card. And, you know, all the yellow stuff, double easy pickings, double entangle, double clandestine, and double second chance. Like, there's just so much yellow, and Cassian's often the least important character, so people don't target him first. Made the deck just like everything kind of just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, we have a gentleman in our area named John who had been playing. He'd been wanting to play Mill, and he came back to the game. He had stopped playing for a few months, and he started with the Cassian Yoda, and he too was on the database. This was a few weeks ago, and he found the 3-wide Mill, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to try this version. He took it to a store championship, and he hadn't played in an event in literally like 4 months. And he just, all of a sudden, he's in top cut. He was the 1 seed going in.
Sick.
That's when we were like, yeah, this deck is pretty insane.
Yeah, Reflex, before he won the event, he had 0 reps, like played 2 games that morning. But going into that event, he was on the 2-wide Mill, and it took couple weeks worth to convince him, and only switched and built it that morning, and ended up winning insane. The whole thing. Like, it's just like all you do, you just roll the Pod Racer, you roll Anakin, turn the Pod Racer to the discard. If you're going against an aggro deck, turn it to the shields and profit. It's just crazy.
That's so good. That's been so much props to Reflex, because just picking up a deck, I know it was of a similar vein to the deck that he was playing, but I'm just not built that way. I need to rep something. That's our buddy Scott he just picks up anything and will just on a whim take it and, top cut with whatever pile of garbage you handed him. Not that deck's a pile of garbage, obviously, right. But he can pilot anything to pretty good effect.
Yeah, I mean, I like playing a new deck because I think it forces me to stop and actually think about my decisions, where like the longer I play a deck, the more I don't know, like complacent I get with just like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I've seen all these actions. I know, like, you just kind of like shortcut. So I do like that about a new deck, that it can kind of force you to slow down and make sure you're making the right plays and actually think about them rather than going from feel. But yeah, I mean, going and winning the North American Championship, like a 300-person event or whatever, is insane. I mean, he's a really good player. He won regionals in 3 different games. There's a reason why we added him to the team pretty quickly, because I've respected him as a player for a long time. I think he's really good, and I'm like super pumped he got the chance to prove it.
What else did he win? X-Wing as well? I know
he won X-Wing and Imperial Assault. Yeah, all 3.
That's awesome.
He had the trifecta this past winter. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, out of certain ones too, after Worlds too, I was just kind of happy for him to see him do well, because I know. He didn't do as well as he had hoped at Worlds, but he's obviously a better caliber player than what was showed from just one tournament. Yeah, I mean, so for him to just go in all the way was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, anyone can just like go 3-3 in a tournament. Like, you get a little bad luck, like things don't go your way. But I think what was tough for him is that you and I were on the same list, and Biggie was on the same list. Biggie top 8'd, you top 16'd, I top 4'd. And Andrew went 3-3. And like, so for the 3 of us to have a lot of success with, like he was 1 card different, not that like really matters too much, and to have that lack of success, I think got to him. I think he really wanted to do well. And seeing us do well kind of probably put the fire in him to show up for GenCon, which is pretty awesome.
Definitely. Dude, what was that 1 card difference? Do you remember? Just kind of curious.
He didn't have the second hasty exit, but off the top of my head, I don't remember what that other card was.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, I thank you for that second hasty every time I talk to you.
Hey, man, it was insane that like 1 card could do so much work, but like the adage of our squad has been like, there's always going to be more aggro than you think. And hasty was insane. All of Worlds. Just happened to be great that weekend, and it worked out. I mean, it definitely probably won me some games. So, I for the life of me can't remember what he ran instead. But, like I said, it's like 1 card. There's a slim chance you even see it over the course of an event. So whatever it was, I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that 30th card isn't really gonna. Like, I really doubt that's what propelled or stopped him from anything. But cool. So that's awesome how well you guys did, and how well GenCon went for your whole team in general. I guess the question now is, so every time the Hyperloops do well, something happens. And almost maybe specifically to you, right? Although I guess, did Joe come up with the FN list?
Joe did originally come up with the FN, But since I'm the one that goes on all the podcasts and stuff, I'm going to take credit for it.
Just take it.
I mean, the thing is, like, so, like, Joe came up with the FN, like, there was not even a version of it on DB. So, like, I got to give Joe credit, even though I don't want to. But I played the crap out of that. I was talking to, like, this dude in California. We were working on a Royal Guard version. I played that deck a ton as well. I mean, like I said, he will always be the brainchild, and Night Sister was insane in that deck, which is all him. But yeah, so I think I know where you're going with this, but I'll let you finish your thought.
Well, also Joe doesn't listen to anything, so
Joe doesn't listen to anything. Joe's not on anything. I invented everything. I invented the Hyperloops. Joe will never know.
Oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, so the Hyperloops obviously had a big hand in FN blowing up, and then you yourself with Ayla, at least for the stairs deck, and then with Sabine as well. You doing so well and kind of being one of the main flag bearers of Sabine. All of them hit Balance of the Force at some point. All of them +1? I think they're all. Or is FN +2?
FN's +2, but yeah, they all got balance. I mean, I can't take credit for all of Ayla, but I'll take a sliver of it because she did become pretty ubiquitous. I mean, the Ray Ayla deck was really, really strong, but I think really what it was is resistance crate speeder or whatever it is. Like that coming out, that Rose Ayla Ezra deck was going to be absolutely freaking bonkers. Like, or Anakin, whoever you ran it with, it was going to be so insane that they had to nerf it. But I mean, at GenCon last year, I round one a Poe in the last round, and on the Bala reset, put 3 more into Maz, and I walked right up to Lucas and I let him know what just happened. And like, you do 15 damage round 1. Like, I think I did it without a Boundless, which is the most insane. I rolled the +3 on IQA 3 times. That's how insane. That's how insane, and matched it up. Like, that's how insane it was. And then, like, had a long talk with Jeremy after, like, I was 9-0 at Worlds with Sabine. We definitely spoke to Jeremy about Mill at GenCon. I think personally that the meta will respond, but I think that if it doesn't respond, like, they're going to have to take a look at how strong. I mean, I don't even know where you start. Yoda, Cassian, the Pod Racer, like, they're all a little too good.
I still even remember playing back when FN and Poe Maz were a thing. I was still relatively new to the game and still trying to figure stuff out. And I saw the FN list did well at one point, so I made it and played it against a friend who, like, just started as well. But this was the point where I was starting to get a little bit more serious than the rest of my crew that was playing. And I played FN with him. I was like, "Hey, I'll override. I'll do this damage. You're dead." He's like, "Was any of that legal?" I was like, "Yep." He's like, "That's so dumb."
Boundless, draw 5, more weapons.
Yes.
What's crazy is that we kept it quiet for so long because Joe won like 6 or 7 store champs with it, and we just didn't let it out. Some people, I mean, it started to catch a little wind on the Destiny DB, but we never really publicized. It was before we were really anything. It was when we first started the website. We really blew up after GenCon, right? After we, like, came in first and second. And got noticed.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll definitely do it. 1-2 will definitely. Yeah, it was. I mean, that's just insane. Like, it's just insane. Like, I keep waiting for my 3-3 moment. I'm like, I know it's going to happen at some point. It just refuses to happen. I just keep getting lucky.
Keep identifying whatever the absolute,
right. But even there are other people. Other people can do that, or like other people do the, like, play the deck and don't make day 2. I just, like, I don't know what it is. I just happen to get really lucky. I must be cultivating some good karma. Either that, or I just, because I listen to everything, I'm just, like, osmosising all the good vibes from all the great content creators out there.
Well, I think you have to be lucky to win an event like a GenCon or a Worlds, but I think the fact that you continuously are making top cuts and or 1-2, whatever it may be, would just be, at that point, you're just good. There's no arguing that at this point. Luck only takes you so far.
Right, but every Magic Pro who, like, top 8's more GPs than anyone else, like, they all have their O2 drop events. I'm just waiting for mine. Yeah. I'm waiting for mine and how I mentally handle it, because it probably won't go well. Be freaking crying in an Airbnb somewhere while everyone else is partying.
Just a lot of what dudes and walking around.
Just, like, in the mirror yelling at myself, "Do you know what, dude? Do you know what, dude?" I'll lose my mind.
And that'll be streamed for for all the world to see. That'll
Oh,
really
yeah,
shoot your Patreon
that'll be a
numbers up.
Facebook. That'll be a Facebook. That'll be like an Instagram story. Is like me shirtless in a mirror, crying, yelling at myself. Bobby's lost it. Somebody call his wife.
He needs to be picked up from Minneapolis right now.
I'm gonna need an Uber to Massachusetts real quick.
That's yeah. I mean, that's, you know, especially for you guys. Like, I can't imagine that that like pressure of going into tournaments. Like, even like I haven't been to like a big tournament since Worlds. Yeah, Nova will be the first one since then. And almost I kind of feel. I mean, we're still like a month away, 3 weeks away, or whatever it might be at this point. Yeah, 3 weeks away from today, actually. Specifically, I play on that Thursday heat. But yeah, almost just like that burden, not burden probably, but, you know, just something kind of over my shoulder. It's like, all right, I did well last time. Like, if I do poorly now, you know, does that cancel out? You know, just kind of thinking through my mind. I doubt most people would, but
do you think
especially for you guys.
Do you think you're feeling pressure for, like, do you feel the pressure following like a top 16 at Worlds going into Nova? Like, you have these expectations for yourself. Like, probably no one else has these expectations for you, but you place unreasonable expectations on yourself because you want to do better, right? You don't want to do worse. You want to do better only. Exactly.
Yeah, you never want to like regress from what you did. So obviously, you know, now I want to do above top 16. Anything below that would feel weird.
Jack, me and you were cut from the same mold. I had the same issues with just anything. You could ask Scott. I was a total head case with anything like that because we did a lot of individual sports, and it's, you know, you don't have like, it's just you and an opponent, whether it's wrestling or grappling or whatever. And it's, you know, you start winning things like as Mike's saying, and you're winning, and then next thing you know, you turn around and there's kind of like other people, you know, other podcast hosts or whoever it is, your teammates, whatever, that are looking to you and they're like, well, he's good, he's just going to win. And then that you hear that, and then all of a sudden you're like, you crumble under that pressure. You got to take that away, Jack. No pressure, man. It's a game. We're here to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I love the pressure. I love me and my golf partner, like, we were in a golf league. Like, I always want to go last. I want that pressure putt. Like, I love that. I think like part of, you know, I was a competitive athlete growing up. You know, Division I and everything in college, and it's just like gives you that, like, that's just what I live for. Like that pressure. Like, I don't know, you just don't get to feel that too often. It's like why I'm almost, you know, 40 and still play games. It's because it's the only way I can feel that kind of competitive pressure. Tommy, you're not doing Nova
competition? No, I can't swing Nova this year, unfortunately.
I mean, see, all of the burden of golden dice is going on my shoulders. You and Shane are just sitting home.
Hey, Tommy, just drive down. You can drop the kiddo off. Like, I'll have a newborn ready to, like, you know, your son can play with my 3-year-old, and then that'll be, you know, that'll help me, you know, deal with the baby, and you just go play Destiny. I'll trade you. You give me a kid, and I'll give you a deck. We'll just swap.
Wow, that is you're just doing me a solid, man. I'm gonna owe you big time.
Your son's like 9 months, 8 months.
He's 5.5.
5.5 months. That's it.
Yep. He's
I got it. Still. I got it. I'm good.
I'd have to pry him out of my wife's arms, but
yeah, Mike, it'll give you good practice for when you have your newborn.
Yeah, I need a refresher. On the newborn.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, that's just how tournaments go for me, and it'll always be that way. But I'm similar. I probably don't thrive on it as much as you do, Mike, but I definitely enjoy that. Like, I probably wouldn't go to these big tournaments if I didn't enjoy, you know, the pressure and competition of it. But
yeah, I felt it immensely for this event for whatever reason. I don't know why. I felt it more for GenCon than I did for Worlds. I just felt, I don't know, maybe it's because I got so close at Worlds that I wanted it more, or I don't know, because I got so close to GenCon last year and I wanted it. But I felt enormous pressure. So I think, like, as soon as we got to the top cut, and it was there were a lot of us in the top cut, and like, as soon as I get to that match with Outrun, like, knowing even if I lost, like, my teammates were going on, and that 3 of the 4 of them were in the top 4, it's just like, it was such a good feeling that it took a lot of the pressure off me. And like, I'm just super pumped that Nick, Andrew, and Outrun, who, like, are 3 guys who have not had a big finish, all got their big finishes at the same event. It's just so sick. And like, that mill deck in the top cut only lost the mirror. Like, Shane got eliminated by Outrun, I got eliminated by Outrun, Andrew eliminated Outrun, Andrew won the whole thing. Like, it's just like so insane. And it's like probably the thing I'm most proud of is just like, we built this deck that became like a powerhouse for this one event, just like a snapshot in time.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question now, and I guess you probably don't have too much of a need to figure it out exactly, but almost the question is like, how do we now beat this deck? And that's the $1 million question.
Well, I mean, I still have teammates going to Nova. Like my whole team's going, so I'm still interested in that aspect of it. And like I said, my second job is helping people. Like we call our like main Patreon tier the tournament prep tier because like I consider that my job to get the people who pay to subscribe to us ready for tournaments. So I definitely feel a moral obligation there. I think that Mandalorian Super Commando list is a good place to start. I mean, that finals match was intense and really, really close. I think that there's a lot of talk in our Discord already about ways to beat it. I know that Joe flirted with the idea of switching to Snoke Bazine First Order Stormtrooper. I had messed around with it a little bit. He obviously like makes the list his own and been working on it, but he thinks it's really good. He thinks it's good enough to compete. I've been hearing talk of like just adding more damage to the Super Commando deck, like adding hate to the list, which sounds kind of insane. I love it. And then it's just we liked that Yoda Cassian aggro deck that I lost to in Swiss that the Destiny Council guys brought to the event. It's a little too YOLO damage, like with quick draws and stuff for my taste, but the principles there are strong. I mean, Cassian Yoda with damage, it's pretty good. I feel like that deck could have some promise. And then it's just finding other lists that don't get blown out by hand disruption and like hyperspace jump. I know that one of my opponents at GenCon, she ran vehicles. She was running an Aphra Snoke vehicles deck, but with docking bay. So I milled both her Hailfire droids, but she played them for 2 on a battlefield claim anyway, which is pretty insane because you don't get to roll it, but you still get that damage, which is nice. Yeah. And it basically makes you inoculated from getting your important upgrades milled, which is pretty insane. And then there's still decks that could run the Delve planetary combo and just put so much damage on the table that it's impossible to mitigate.
What interests me a lot actually was specifically Nick's build of the Aphra Snoke deck. Because his just seemed, I mean, maybe he knew you guys were big into mill. It seemed like he just like attacked really hard almost against it with 2 friends in low and 2 probes. And it was just interesting looking from like mine and Tommy's perspective of and what Tommy had really worked on. We just seemed to lean more into like a mitigation heavy in case of aggro and stuff like that, whereas he kind of seemed to lean a little bit into the mill matchup. And it seemed like he was favorable against that because he lost to the Talisman Commandos in the top 4, right?
Yeah, that was just like it was just way too much damage for him. Like that guy Jordan, he nuked Aphra off the table round 1 of game 1. Like it's just insane. Like through a shield. Nick. I mean, Nick knew there was going to be a lot of mill, right? He knew his obviously he respects us, and he knew that if he had to win, he probably had to go through at least one of us on mill. And we expected mill to be somewhat heavy in the field, but we also expected a lot of 2 character lists. Like if you weren't playing vehicles, you're probably on 2 characters. So that climate disruption array is insane versus 2 character decks, and it's also insane versus mill. What Nick's deck loses to is itself. It's one of those rare Destiny decks, even though it has like a nice draw engine, where if it doesn't get specific upgrades, it's going to crumble. And if he doesn't get both of the Aphra droids out, like that deck is really going to struggle. Even more so than if he doesn't get a Hailfire droid tank. Like he really needs 000 and BT to start leveraging all his self-damage cards into opponent damage cards. And without those, we saw in the finals, like he just had awful draws both rounds and, wasn't able to do any damage at all.
I was so upset because I had been waiting all day for there to be a damn stream for the day 2 of GenCon, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Nick, and Mike's commentating with Zach, and it's like, I'm like, this is so great, he's playing the Aphra deck. Dude, I was so pumped, and then the abysmal hand draw, although he did almost pull that first game out.
Dude, he almost pulled it out. It was crazy. Nick knows, and what I love about that deck, and I'm sure you know this just from playing it, is like you put your opponent in this position where if they have, like when you have your engine set up, especially like if he has BT, 000, and the climate disruption array, and his opponent has 5 or less total health, Nick automatically wins the game. If they roll their character, Nick activates BT. They take 2. If they try and resolve that die, like if they, Nick claims, so he has the first action. So he does the 2 from BT, and then they roll their character, and then before they can resolve that die or any dice, he activates the climate disruption array to deal 3 more. So like really, whatever you think your max health is in that deck, like in whatever deck you're playing, it's -5 when you play against Nick. It just makes that so powerful, but it is reliant on getting that quote unquote combo out.
Yeah, it's the droids, absolutely. I feel like BT1 especially, just because he'll allow you to draw into the other cards, is like the number 1 card that I'm mulliganing for in that deck.
Yeah.
It was at the Brick Store Championship where I took this list. I played against the 2 wide mill, the Yoda Cassian profitable mill, and turn 1 I got out 000 Sebulbas and a climate array, and then turn 2 my first action was to play another climate array.
Yeah.
So the amount of damage I was doing, and like Sebulbas kept rolling disrupt, which I was actually like happy about to keep mill off resources, and still doing an indirect damage. Like even with all the shields from Yoda he was taking, it was like there was really no way out for him. The amount of damage I was just able to turn out.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was 6 damage without me rolling dice from the climate arrays with 000. So
yeah, it's bonkers. We did some testing, obviously, with Nick, and found that if we started from round 1 taking the shields on Anakin's pod racer from the very first action, never doing the double discard, that we could outlast the damage. But it was like every single time we roll Yoda, it's shields. Every time you roll the pod racer, it's shields, and that could do it. But like the 2 wide version, it can't do that because it can't generate the shields like the 3 wide can. The 3 wide really it's such a good deck. I really hope people figure out how to beat it, because I don't want it to like plague Destiny.
Yeah, I hope so too. I don't want them to nerf the one good mill deck, like competitive mill deck we've seen, because I'm hoping that there is a workaround and that people can figure it out. But you guys are so good, and people are always going to emulate, the best players, and you guys are very accessible with your website and your articles, churning out content like nobody's business. I'm hoping that Nova isn't just, let's all play whatever. I'm hoping that people can, be creative and take it as a challenge and try to, solve the problem and the puzzle. That's my favorite part of this game, is trying to counter an established meta. I love that.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I know Joe will not play the mill. So you have at least one good player who's working his ass off. Like, I haven't played a single game since GenCon, and Joe's been on TTS playing every day. Like, I'm just trying to hit Legend on Hearthstone, and Joe's still grinding that TTS.
Are him and Nick both going to Novas?
Yeah, they're both going to Nova. Reflex is going to Nova. I think Outruns going to Nova. Biggie's going to Nova. So I'll be the only one who's not going.
Oh, drop the pod racers in Nick's ear for me, just in case he decides to go back to Aphra. I know it sounded like he was going to be off it, but just put it in there for me. I'm just rooting for that deck.
Yeah, I'll make sure he knows the brokenness of the 1 cost pod racer. So good.
It sounds so bizarre to say that, but it's been so valuable for us. I don't know why.
Especially having that Hellfire.
I've been testing a lot because with Drew from Arrowbrook, just because like I've been home all day, and he's had a slow month at work, so we were playing a lot on TTS, and this one game he's playing Snoke Thrawn, and he rolled that pod racer, he rolled it out, and it just immediately rolled a blank. I was like,
yeah, that's the one feel bad. It can happen.
I was like, thanks for the free disrupt.
Yeah.
The 2 actions, like it's just so funny. I mean, I get it, right? You can focus to the 2 disrupt, the 2 indirect, and it gets you a damage when it comes to the play when you have Hailfire out. It's like so high on economy. It just, I don't know, it's so mopey. It just feels so mopey to me. I know it's great. I just like, it's just
it's a huge feel bad play. It's just that you're gambling. I mean, the upside with
it's really
the focus sides and the Hailfire. And just the fact that you can put, that many dice on the table. Like we took a little bit more of almost like a hero vehicle approach, where we're just trying to, play like 2 supports minimum every turn for like the first 2 to 3 rounds, and then eventually just create a storm of dice. And if the pod racer bounces, it bounces. We're also playing cube, which we have like a certain way that we're trying to play cube to get it removed a little less, as opposed to like the tech team that Nick was running. But I mean, we're just blabbering on about our deck now, so I'll stop.
Well, whatever. It's your podcast. Do your thing. It's cool. It's like I'm all for it. I think he should play it. If he does go back to Aphra, I'll definitely make sure he's on it. I just don't know what everyone's plan is. I think everyone's just trying to get a lay of the land and trying to beat Mill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot for the meta. I kind of love it. It's just like there's this 1 month period between events. Can people figure it out or can't they? It'll be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're starting to build and theory craft these decks, the first thing you should run it against is that 3-wide mill. If you can't beat that, then there's really no point.
Yeah, but then some people will say,
down.
like, I'll just play 2-wide mill for all the people who play 3-wide mill. And if the 3-wide mill beats the aggro decks, maybe they'll go away. So there's always a nice vicious cycle when it comes to Destiny meta. And you just got to figure out exactly what you're going to play against. I feel like even though I liked my meta call for Worlds, like I didn't play against things that I thought I would play. Like Joe, he played against 0 Ray Ayla until the semifinals, and it was his worst matchup. He just happened to dodge his worst matchup for 14 rounds, or whatever it was, 12 rounds. And that can happen. You just have like 25% of the field was Ray Ayla, and he dodged them all. It's just crazy, but it can happen. So even if you have the meta protected right, there's a chance that even though a quarter of the people there are playing it, you just might not see those people. I know a guy that was playing 2-wide mill, and he ran into the only 2 Sabine decks in the entire event at GenCon. Rounds 1 and 2, he went Sabine, 0-2, dead.
Wow.
It doesn't make any sense. There were literally only 2 out of the 280 or whatever.
Ugh. See, and you're waiting for that to happen to you.
Yeah, exactly. I so am. I just hope it's not at Worlds. Anywhere else, I'll take it.
Is that going to be your next big tournament you'll be at Worlds? Or are you going to go to PAX Unplugged or anything like that?
I'll be at PAX Unplugged, but do you consider that a big tournament? It's like just a bunch of GQs.
Yeah, it's just GQs, but
I hate GQs. Like I hate the spot glasses. I don't care about buys or whatever, like Worlds tickets. I'll just buy my Worlds ticket. But I'll be at PAX Unplugged, as long as everything's going well with the baby. Obviously, she'll still be young, so I'd say there's like an 85% chance that I'm there. And then I'll do regionals. But yeah, I mean, is there really a big tournament? It's just like Worlds, GenCon, Nova. Those are the only 3, and GenCon and Nova back to back.
Specifically, Unplugged felt kind of big because I feel like there was a lot of like the Artificery guys were there, you guys were there, the Knights of Ren were there. Like there was a lot of.
It definitely felt, it felt big because it was like a big for the community. I think it was like less big for Destiny, but it was the unveiling of spot glasses. So I think it did a lot for the game. People were really behind them. I just I don't know, the when we went to PAX East in Boston, like those GQs were like 25 people. Which is kind of a bummer. I just don't think people get up for. Well, that's a store championship where you come from. Our store champs are like 8 people, but I just don't think people get up for the GQs for whatever reason. But I'm looking forward to PAX Unplugged. It'll be cool. I'll probably be more into the X-Wing 2nd edition. That being it's like the first. It's like the first 2nd edition tournament. Even though I've been like pretty down on X-Wing just because I've been so into Destiny. But yeah, I'll be there. You guys going?
Yeah, we'll be there. I should be there all 3 days, or at least I'm trying. Also, I know that you're a fan of the new spot glosses that we got from Worlds. You got the Ray Kylo double-sided. What if they were to, since it is kind of like the first of the season, what if they transitioned the spot glosses to be more like that one or the Executioner, say?
I do like those better than. I mean, it's not like I dislike the clear spot glosses. I guess what I really hate is like the pod hustle, where like you've got to grind these pods for like 2 points. That's what I really hate. The spot glosses are actually kind of cool. I like the spot. Maybe that's why I felt so much pressure at GenCon, is I really wanted that Ray promo. I've been dying for a Ray promo. I'm a big fan of Ray, and I really, really wanted that Ray promo. The art on a lot of these promos are just so medium, but that art is solid. So if they did like a Poe 2 spot gloss in that style, I would probably grind some pods so I can go back to playing some beautiful R2P2. But yeah, I'm looking forward. I guess they're gonna have new spot glasses. This will be pretty sick. I'm looking forward to seeing what they
Yeah,
got.
I'm just glad that
Supposed
Riggs
to
can
kick off
change
a new
his deck
season
now.
of it.
Get out of here. Riggs will never change his deck. Dude, when Riggs sat down across from me round one at Gen Con, I don't know if he told you guys this. He played me round one, and I was like, oh shoot. Hera can bounce like immediately. I'm like, Hera's gonna bounce our vehicles. That's gonna be a problem. Before he even showed me what he was playing, I just knew what he was playing. Of course, he whipped him out. And then he won 6 in a row and jumped ahead of me on tables. He's like, "What are you doing down there, bro?"
Wow.
Dude, I love Riggs. Is hilarious, man. I freaking love Riggs. Riggs was like joking with like I think it was Andrew about timing him out. He's like, "I'm just gonna roll this one die for 45 minutes. I'm gonna see if the judge says anything." I think Andrew was stressed, but like I don't know. I've talked to Riggs a couple times. He's just freaking hilarious.
Yeah, he's like a big goofball.
Definitely.
He's
awesome.
a good guy.
Dude, and he's good too, and he plays that deck so well. At that Jersey regional, man, I was sweating. That was a rough match. But yeah, he gave me a run for my money. He almost took me out.
You played against him in the top 8 first round?
Terp, I thought it was top 4, but it might have been top
top
8.
4.
I thought it was top 4. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. I feel pretty good about it. I think like what really killed him that match is he discarded a suppressive fire. Not a suppressive fire. What's the other one?
Suppressive field.
Yeah, suppression field. He discarded that to reroll like really early in game 3, and that was the card I was probably most afraid of because it just like completely shuts down Sabine. But other than that, yeah, like that. I mean, it was tight even so. I liked his Maz deck better when it had that Falcon in it. That lets Maz and Falcon activate at the same time.
Yeah, I love
That's
that.
so
Any
scary.
deck with Maz needs that Falcon just to finish the game. I think it's so good.
I was waiting for him to drop it on me. I was super petrified of it.
Did you win that one? A good Flames of the Past matchup? Because even though it's bouncing back, if one's in the discard pile, you could probably get rid of it that way.
I Flames Riggs Cube.
In the cube, gotcha.
Yeah, that would have been good. Like if the thing about the thing about any Destiny deck, right, is you can't hold the cards in your hand the whole game. So I think I held Flames through one discard set, like through one round, because I wanted to nab his cube when I had the chance, or maybe not even. But you can't just hold that all game for the Hera thing. I just was like, my game plan is going to be to mitigate the Hera die on the last round, and I was able to.
Awesome. All right. I mean, we're just a little bit over.
Yeah, now we're just shooting chewing.
Yeah, no. I mean, we could sit here and talk Destiny for forever. Who knows if it's relevant?
For sure. Yeah, I don't want to put your listeners to sleep. I know I'm very dry.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to talking Destiny, I just like get in this zone.
I think we finished our questionnaire like 20 minutes ago, and we've just been going freestyle here. And you're just really easy to talk to about Destiny, Mike. So,
dude, I love it. Like, I definitely felt like I was talking too much on that GenCon stream. It's just
I don't think so. I think you and Zach actually did pretty well together. I think you guys had a good thing going.
Yeah, it was fun. I would love to do that. I would love to shoutcast Nova if you guys want to bring your recording stuff. I'll do the commentary for you. You let me know.
Dude,
That's a segue, Jack.
I already emailed them into talking about that, seeing if I could stream or anything. They already told me it's booked months in advance.
Wow.
So they already shot me down.
Rough.
So that's something I probably for next year and future things that, I mean, as we close up that, I guess that could be a little bit of a segue. At Golden Dice, we're trying to like get more into live streaming, because if you watch what we've been doing on Twitch, it's been store championships, but it's just been like off my phone. So the quality isn't super good. I can't communicate with anybody about what round or anything like that, about what's going on. So it's really not ideal. Super easy setup, but we're looking to get some better equipment, a new stand, an actual camera. Eventually, we would like to get to the point where we have, microphones for the players, and running a long cable away to do microphones for the commentary as well. So that's something we're trying to set up. And if you're looking to help out with that, you could check our Patreon page and help support us in whatever way you feel like you can. But yeah, I mean, it would be awesome to eventually get to the level where we can show up to Worlds or GenCon or Nova and try to stream in those areas, or even like a PAX Unplugged or whatever it might be. I mean, I'm up for streaming anything from a weekly all the way to Worlds. So
yeah, I think the key is like you get this like Logitech like little mini webcam thing, and you just get a laptop with the boot up, like the satellite card. I think you can do. I think that's all you need. You just put the camera down, you run the laptop, it's connected to the internet, and like there you go.
Yeah. I mean, to even just start out is very simple in terms of that. So I mean, that's what we'll eventually build up to. I guess a bigger suite of it. But
I
yeah,
hope you
to
guys
start
do it,
simple.
because I think it's something that the game really needs.
I know it's weird that there's very little support in terms of live streaming, and as much as people were finding it weird that there was a Tuesday night store championship in Philly, a lot of people seem to enjoy watching live Destiny on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Like, yeah, sure, I'll take it on a Tuesday night because if it's the only time I can get it. I just think we need someone doing high quality with commentary, because I think that's where I think it's no different than just like watching someone, like logging into TTS and like watching someone play. If you can't get some way to make the content premium, so I hope it happens. It'd be sweet. I have no interest, but I hope you guys do it. It's too much work for me.
Hopefully we can get there for it. As we start to close out, Mike, is there anything that you would like to plug, or any shout outs, anything like that?
Just my team. They're the best. Joe, Nick, Andrew, Adam, Biggie, Blake. Did I say Outrun? I think I did. Yeah, they're just awesome. And come check out the hyperloops.com. Free content 5 days a week. Can't beat it. No one else does 5 days of free content. So if you want to read about Destiny every day, you're stuck with us. Hate us or love us. That's just like my MO right now. Is like, yeah, there's a lot of people that hate us, but hey, if you want to read about Destiny every single day, you're stuck with us. It feels good being able to say that to the haters. Like, all right, just don't read about Destiny today. You better hope someone puts out an article.
It's definitely impossible to ignore you guys at this point, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, your Destiny's trying. They're doing like 2 or 3 articles a week, but yeah, what are you gonna do?
Tommy, you got anything?
Nope. Apparently, Scott wrote on our document here that Shane is a prepubescent antelope, so I'll just go ahead and add that.
Add it to the show notes. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah. Scott's not even in the podcast. He's just sitting here looking at our show notes for like the past hour.
Nice.
Cool. Well, yeah, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. I know we've kind of been working on it. We talked at Worlds about coming on, and then my summer got busy and I was away for 4 weeks, and yeah, things got crazy, but I figured after GenCon was the perfect time.
Happy to anytime. Just anything to like help the community or like get people interested or stay interested in Destiny I'm all about it.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to have you back on at some point. We'll fit that in somewhere. Yeah, and I would also vouch for the Hyperloops. They're awesome. I'm a Patreon supporter of them as well. Even if you're not looking to go crazy into their Discord, just supporting them for the free content they do give out is definitely awesome. But yeah, if you're looking for them, Mike just plugged them. I'll have their link to their website in our show notes. As for us, we got Facebook, Twitter, WordPress, all those good things. And Patreon will give us access to our Discord as well. But other than that, Mike, we'll give you that last one-liner as the show ends.
You know what, dude?
So.